Hey, Horns, did I tell you that pretty sure I saw Mythosaur?
When? Last night?
Yeah, actually, crazy enough, yeah, it was last night when I saw it.
Okay, Nate, I'm pretty sure you were just on absinthe.
I withdraw the question.
Welcome in to the Bro 4 Squad podcast, where we are just a bunch of bros drinking beer and watching TV and movies. I am your host, the Mayor Jeff Hornacek, joined by the American hero Nate Thurman, here for our review of The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 4, titled The Foundling. And as is tradition, we will review this TV episode as we do all of our television episodes using the Bro 4 Squad criteria, which is the acting, the story, our favorite scene, and then theories and questions going forward. Nate, we will toss it to you first. Acting in Season 3, Episode 4, the halfway point of Season 3 of The Mandalorian. Good, bad, indifferent. What stood out to you?
I mean, for the most part, it's pretty indifferent. There wasn't too much going on, but I think the obvious standout in the cast that's been added here is Ahmad Best as Kelleran Beck, the Jedi Master, which was badass seeing him. And he did a great job. He came into the role, and I think it's kind of a credit to him already being in the Star Wars universe and some other aspects. I think he's done some voiceover work actually as Kelleran Beck, but then obviously doing Jar Jar Binks' voice
Yeah.
in the prequels. So it was cool that they got someone like that to come in who's already so committed into canon. So he knows that he's in depth in it. He's done some Clone War shit as well, so a lot of voiceover stuff. But seeing them bring him in as an actor for that role was pretty cool. Everything else was same old, same old. It was good, nothing great, but that really stood out. That was cool.
Yeah, considering that after he played Jar Jar, and I don't know, maybe I was one of these people online, but people were telling him to like kill himself. Basically, the fact that he's been game to still be a part of the Star Wars universe is cool. And I'm glad they've kind of done right by him by giving him a character like Kelleran Beck to play, who's pretty badass.
Dude, the dual wielding right off the bat,
sick.
Loved it.
I'm assuming that just during Order 66, like another Jedi was killed and he was able to just pick that up and use it. But if he always gets to dual wield, that's pretty badass.
True. I love the. I mean, we'll get into the Order 66 stuff later.
So this episode was actually directed by Carl Weathers.
Oh,
and they've done a really cool job getting like directors in The Mandalorian that are either rumored to have been linked to like various Star Wars projects in the past, or I think a couple of the actors. I want to say there was another actor at one point that directed an episode, but
yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head.
Bryce Dallas Howard, maybe not like a Star Wars actor, but she kind of cut her teeth on this.
Done a couple, yeah.
So it's kind of interesting that they get that, and I don't know, this episode, it was interesting that Carl Weathers did it because to me it felt like we had probably the least dialogue or story of almost any episode so far this season. It was there was like 3 separate action set pieces in it, maybe more. So pretty interesting that they chose. I'm assuming Carl Weathers, I don't think he's done a feature. Maybe he's done another episode of TV, but that seems like a tough episode to direct, throwing all that at you.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it's just CGI, them flying around, battling, and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know how much input he had on there, but even with that, there were some intimate scenes. Grogu in the armor, Bo-Katan in the armor. So there was some stuff that he could sink his teeth into for sure.
And I know this has kind of been an issue not an issue, but it's been a noticeable thing in Book of Boba Fett and kind of this season of The Mandalorian. But Din noticeably sort of in the background of this episode. This is really kind of Bo-Katan's story and then Grogu's story with the flashbacks. And obviously last episode we were focusing on Dr. Pershing and sort of the remnants of the Empire. So it's kind of interesting. I'm not necessarily complaining, But it is just a little interesting that the show the last 2 weeks has really put Din in the back seat and Pedro Pascal.
Are they taking a pun intended page out of the Book of Boba Fett as far as not having the main guy in any of these episodes anymore, like 10% of it?
Yeah, it's a little bizarre.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the story. The TV Time app has the synopsis as Din Djarin returns to the hidden Mandalorian covert. And I just wrote down that there were really two storylines working parallel here. We had obviously Grogu getting initiated to the Mandalorian clan, and then his flashback while the Beskar was being hammered to Order 66, which I thought was really cool. And then the Tar Vizsla rescue mission for his son, which I just have to say, can these Mandalorians not find another fucking place to train? Because on that beach so far, just in like 3 weeks, we've had like a swamp monster come out of the water and nearly kill all them. And then clearly like this bird knows exactly where they are, this like pterodactyl thing.
Yeah.
And swoops it. Like, is there not like a covered place or like a forest or something we can go to?
Yeah, they said they've had run-ins with this guy before, so they should probably like rescout some new land or something. I don't know.
Yeah, figure it out.
Beggars can't be choosers.
What do you think of the story here? This was, at least to my knowledge, the shortest episode we've had in a long time. It was like 32 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
Minus minutes.
It was super short. Yeah, it was entertaining. Nothing crazy and spectacular. I think the biggest thing that stuck out to me was the flashback from Grogu. I mean, I love these little droplets they keep putting in with flashbacks to Order 66, and it gives them like so much wiggle room to like add in characters like Kalarn Beck and whoever else they want to, and like establish these more established Jedi masters that we don't know much about. So that part was really great. The other part of the plot was good too, because they obviously couldn't use their jetpacks to get out to these, I think they call them Raptors. I don't know if they said that in the show, but I saw that online. To get to the Raptors, so Bo-Katan has her ship now, and so that gives them the opportunity to go scout it out. She can help out, and so it was really important to establishing herself in the convert. So that was really good, and that led into the last part where the armor is making her a new shoulder plate, which she puts the new seal on there, and now she's kind of Night Owl and I'm blanking on the name. I just said it.
Is it the Mythosaur?
Yeah, the Mythosaur. Can I put the Mythosaur?
She's rocking. Yeah, she's rocking like both.
So I think that's awesome. It kind of made me think of like Halo vibes, like back in the day, because you could like customize your guy and like put different logos and shit on there. And kind of taking a step back for a second, because I don't want to mention this. I'm falling in love with Bo-Katan's ship. It is badass. Yeah, I love like the dual wings that can kind of go either way.
I hope the interior didn't get fucked up when they brought back those baby raptors
or whatever they are. Yeah, that was kind of a weird, got kind of some GOT, some Game of Thrones vibes on that one, because now they're trying to like tame these dragons or whatever. I'm like, are they going to be able to use these to benefit themselves? But
like domesticate them.
Yeah, and maybe if their jetpacks can't reach where they need to, maybe they learn to fly these guys. So that would be kind of a cool plot device there if they bring those back and start taming them and domesticating them. But like I said, the Order 66 stuff, really great, loved it. And then the other plot point with Bo-Katan was needed, so it kind of cemented her into the tribe.
Yeah, and I think I especially kind of got a vibe from the campfire scene with her that this is sort of setting up the arc for the end of the season where Bo-Katan is going to sort of try and take over this Mandalorian sect.
Ooh. Like in a negative way, or like
I don't know yet. I don't know what her intentions are, but I definitely feel like one of her big motivations to go on this mission for Tar Vizsla was, if I rescue his son, I'll be in the goodwill of all the other Mandalorians here. Like, she's the newcomer who's like really crushing it early, and we're going to promote her really quickly, but there's people who have been here like for 2 or 3 years and have hit sales quota every year, and they're just getting surpassed all of a sudden. She's like it's a what have you done for me lately business with the Mandalorians, and right now Bo-Katan is the rising star. That'd
be interesting. Yeah, you haven't. I could definitely see that happening. You haven't seen that vibe too much. Most of the people in the tribe are like pretty accepting. They're high-fiving whenever she was like inducted or whatever. So, but you could definitely ruffle some feathers if she starts rising quickly to the top, and these other people are like, what the fuck is up with this? I've been here for 10 years.
And it's a weird like power vacuum, because Din technically has not even technically, he has the Darksaber. I don't think he has any interest though in leading this group of Mandalorians. I feel like that's what Tar Vizsla would want to do. But now Bo-Katan comes in, and all of a sudden she's like moving up the depth chart so fast that everyone's like, well, hold the fuck up. You were like banished and shunned 2 weeks ago, and now all of a sudden you're like the top performer here. Like, what's happening?
Well, my house got blown up, so I don't have anywhere to go. I'm sorry.
Exactly. Well, get on Expedia and see if there's any hotels in the area. All right, moving on to best scene. What was your favorite part of this episode? Again, a lot of action set pieces, but there were a few character moments that kind of stood out as well.
Yeah. There were some good smaller scenes. But I'm just going to go back to what I was harping on earlier and like kind of my favorite part of the whole episode, which was Grogu's flashback. It was cool seeing him and how he escaped. We kind of knew what was going on to a small extent, but and each time he's flashback, we've kind of got a little further, a little more insight. So that scene was really cool, and like how well protected he was, and it just really hammering home like his importance in the overall canon and everyone that's around him. So I'm really interested to see like what we get after this, because the last part we see in that scene is Keller and Beck taking off with him in the ship and going to hyperdrive. So essentially they're both fine and well. I don't know who else is on the ship, honestly. I don't know if it's those two or that scene was kind of chaotic, so it's kind of tough to keep up with everybody.
Yeah. And I'm assuming like that was the Nubian ship, so someone from Naboo had to have been. I don't know if it's Captain Panaka, because obviously Amidala's dead at that point.
Yeah,
pretty recently though. Let me just ask a timeline question. I think I know the answer to this based on when Luke came back, but Order 66 obviously happens like at the end of the prequel trilogy.
Yep.
So then all of the original trilogy happens, and then the Mandalorian happens. So Grogu, like I know we're treating him like an infant, but he could be like 30 years old, right?
Right now.
Yeah.
I think he is like, hold on. I
Like
think he's
30?
like 50.
Okay. But like obviously Yoda's species ages much slower. Is that why he's still?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. I think in like maybe the first season, it's been a while, but they said something about his age and he's like 50. So he's like 52, 53 now. But I mean, Yoda was like close to 1,000. So
right. And he looked great.
If I believe correctly. Yeah. So
Yoda was on that all plant-based diet. That was what really helped.
It kept his skin young.
Yep. So my favorite scene also involves Grogu. That was a great one, and I love especially with what Bad Batch is doing right now. I won't spoil that if no one's watching it, but it is really tying into Order 66.
Yeah.
And to me, that is one of the most fascinating times in Star Wars, just the way that all went down. So anytime we get stuff from that, I'm interested. But I was just cracking up and loving it with the Grogu training scene where he fought that kid Mandalorian. It was great. I got accepted a few episodes ago. And they referenced Grogu getting a Mandalorian helmet at some point. I didn't know how badly I needed him putting a helmet on his head.
Like would it have like ear extensions?
It would have to.
His ears holes fit into? Maybe? Or does he like get like a scrunchie and like bound him up in the back like a ponytail?
Like a soccer player, like Ibrahimovic or something?
Yeah, I don't know.
Also, I don't know how they're going to do that because they don't want to hide Grogu's face. Like that's how he emotes, and but it would be so adorable and hilarious to see him put on like some sort of helmet. Maybe they can do like a clear one where we can still see his face through it or something.
Yeah, that's tough because if he ends up taking the creed, which I don't think he will, then he has to have it on at all times or whatever. So as much as like you're saying, I want to see it. I don't know if it's functional for the show.
Yeah. But him doing like the flip over that kid and then shooting him with the lawn darts or the paintballs was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it was amazing. And it brought me back to like the prequels where Yoda's jumping all around and like, well, when we saw the prequels, like this is the first time we ever saw like Yoda be badass and all that shit. Jumping off everything. But yeah, it had flashbacks of that for me.
I love how that kid, when they told the kid, like, yeah, you have to fight him. You can pick the combat. He didn't the Mandalorian kid choose the darts?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Because I would have been like, I want to wrestle this guy. I have like
200. Use my hands. Yeah.
He weighs 4 pounds.
I will definitely take him on.
Take him to the mat. But this guy's an idiot. Super cocky. Yeah. Again.
Oh, for sure.
Rookie move. Yeah. Anything with Grogu, like doing physical things, I love. Because also, I think the show's insistence on keeping him. There have been very few scenes, and I say that because I can't even remember any off the top of my head, where he has not been a practical puppet. And I love that.
Yeah.
Maybe something in season 1 when he was like, but that's the great part is for the most part, he's like an OG Star Wars character that's operated like remotely or just by hand when he's in his little carriage.
Yeah, they've done a good job with him.
All right, theories and questions. I really don't have much here, man. And I think that's so this season, I guess I'll just say, so far doesn't feel near as impactful and monumental as previous seasons, but I've kind of been okay with that. It's just sort of we're hanging out with these characters and getting a little bit of context into the fall of the Empire. But for the most part, it does not feel like as universe altering as the previous seasons did. Now, having said that, we still have 4 episodes left, and they've definitely had a knack for making their finales pretty impactful. So a lot could still happen, but I'm not necessarily complaining, but this definitely just feels like, as far as the overarching effects on the Star Wars universe, the least of all 3 seasons so far. So my theories and questions are mainly just around like smaller things happening in the plot. What did you have?
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Still leaking over from episode 3. I'm interested to see like what Dr. Pershing's role in all this is going to be, and if he is actually able to establish any type of foothold for any research or anything he's trying to do, and how that's going to tie in. If it's going to be, I know he's at the beginning of the last episode, he was talking about cloning and all that kind of stuff. So if it ties in with like the Caminos, or if anything ties back in with Grogu. So I'm interested to see like what his overall role is, because there's no way they dedicate a full episode to him and it's not going to have any impact on the season. If they do, honestly, we'll be a little disappointed. It's not going to ruin the season for me.
Right.
But they've got to revisit that. So I'm interested to see what's happening there. And now with Kelleran Beck coming in, interested to see like what his role is, how he helps Grogu ultimately get to where he's going to go. I don't think, and maybe you can correct me, I did a little internet research, but there's not much out there on him as far as like, is he alive, and like what point he is alive, or like where he's at. So
yeah, the only other thing that I saw he was in is, I think it was either like a theme park ride or like some kids show where he like is training. I don't even know if it was Jedi Padawans, but he's like training some young kids.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if it was canon where he's played Kelleran Beck. Now, another interesting thing, Ahmed Best played another character in the background of episode 1 who is supposed to be Beck's twin brother, but he's not Force sensitive, the other character.
Say whose twin brother?
Kelleran Beck's.
Oh, he was playing his twin brother.
Right.
Gotcha.
So he's played both characters, but the other character was just like in a bar on Coruscant.
Okay, gotcha.
So kind of interesting there. But yeah, I don't know if he's alive. I don't think he showed up in like Rebels or anything, but
yeah, I don't remember him.
Which actually would be before this anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess there is no animated series that takes place after this, right?
No.
Because Clone Wars and Rebels are both.
Yeah, before.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Fate of Kelleran Beck is still up in the air.
Yeah.
Maybe
currently he's still alive
within
the Mando realm, but other than that, I don't know. But what questions or theories do you have out there?
All right, so this one I mentioned earlier, not too crazy because I think they're pretty much telling us this is happening, but I think Bo-Katan will stage a Mandalorian coup, or will make a pretty clear divide in their clan for the Mandalorian Civil War. The one thing I don't know, because I believe this was shown in the trailer for the series, is they get back on Mandalore somehow. So I don't know if she basically tells them, like, guys, it's safe to go back. Like, why are we staying on this fucking island where we have swamp creatures try and kill us and pterodactyls kidnap our children every day? Like, let's go home. And maybe she convinces half of the group to go and the other group is still resistant, either with I don't know the armorer's name, but maybe her and Vizsla, Tar Vizsla, are the second group, and then Din is sort of forced to choose. Do you think if there were a Mandalorian divide right now, Tar Vizsla and the group on the island, and then Bo-Katan and some, deserters or people that would mutiny, where would Din's allegiance lie? Like, is he that deep with Bo-Katan that he would side with her?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Is
he going to lead the other side because he has the Darksaber?
Yeah. Which, speaking of that, like, they need to bust that thing out. And even episode 1 or 2, when he used it, he still didn't seem that comfortable with it. So,
gotta practice though, man.
I know you gotta practice. You gotta feel the Darksaber. But yeah, it's kind of been weird. I don't know. It was like such a big plot device, like in season 3 or season 2. Sorry, that's kind of fallen off the board now.
I wonder if he doesn't want to bring it out because he knows Bo-Katan is like super jealous of it and doesn't want to like remind her that
Hey,
we
look
get
at
it. You have
this.
the fucking dark saber. I'm
Look
sorry.
what I
I'm just
got.
trying to kill someone.
You don't have it.
Remember that time you didn't have it? Yeah.
Or you remember that time you had it and now I have it?
And now I have it. Isn't that so funny how life works? And then I had one other question, and I watched one video, and this was answered a little bit, but the role and the obsession with the Mythosaur, like, does Bo-Katan having seen it, is that like a good omen? Is it like if you see like a dove flying around, or is the Mythosaur like this creature that some people don't even think exists anymore, and she's gonna like go back and tame it? Because I feel like this plays a bigger role than just being like the logo that she wants to slap on her armor, right? Like that creature existing in the waters of Mandalore has to mean something for the end of the season.
Yeah, from her conversation with the armorer, I feel like it's almost like a unicorn at this point. Like a lot of people don't even believe it exists, and because at the end of the conversation, you're like, "Oh, well, this is the way," and she's like, "No, I really saw it. It wasn't a vision."
Yeah.
But they've kind of planted that seed as well, so that kind of goes back to your point of them getting back to Mandalore. I think that's going to have a strong push behind it as far as her seeing that creature, her wanting to go back and find it, since it was such a shock to her, since it's such a mythical being that no one else has seen or anything. So, I think they'll definitely get back there, and that's kind of going to be the driving force.
I was a little confused, just to clarify. So did she see it underwater, or was she asking Mando if he saw it?
She saw it.
Okay.
Yeah. Like when she saved him as she's like jetting up out to the surface, she like saw it like in the background.
Okay.
Briefly. Yeah.
And was that the thing that pulled Din into the water?
See, I was kind of confused on that, but I don't think so. And I don't know how this makes too much sense. He just like drops down. I guess his armor is really heavy. But when she pulls him out, he's like, "Oh, I didn't know it dropped off that much, and I just fell."
Oh.
So I don't.
But that's not really how water works, unless he has like the iron boots from Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
Great comparison, because that's exactly how I would picture. Like, unless you have those on, you're not just going to drop like at 100 miles an hour in the water. You're going to fall, but not at that rate.
Because I know Beskar's heavy, but he's fallen in water before in the show, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, sounds familiar. But at first I thought it was a creature that pulled him in when it first went under, but it sounded like he just dropped off a ledge.
Okay, I guess I'll buy it.
Yeah.
All right, do you have anything else for season 3, episode 4?
That's about it. Like I said, not too much more to go off of. Short episode, entertaining. Had the introduction of a good new character. But yeah, I give it like a B+.
So real quick, I want to get your thoughts. I'm pretty pleased with this season so far. Again, it hasn't been like as earth-shattering as the previous episodes or previous seasons have felt like, but I think it's been well done. There's been a lot of really cool action scenes, specifically like in space and with ships. And I feel like there is going to be a bigger end game, and the fact that I can't really see it yet is not frustrating me as much as I feel like it normally would. I don't know about, how do you feel?
No, I feel pretty much the same way. Nothing earth-shattering, but it's keeping things moving. Episode 3 was a little slow with Dr. Pershing, but I'm just banking on some bigger revelations down the road, or how they're going to tie in, or how they're going to use them. But yeah, I think it's still a really good season so far.
Yeah, I mean, this show, even when it's like slower than its previous seasons, it still is above average television by far.
Yeah,
which is a good sign.
Completely agree.
All right, that will do it for our review of season 3, episode 4. Episode 4 of The Mandalorian. Titled The Foundling for the American hero Nate Thurmond. I'm the mayor, Jeff Hornacek. We are the Bro 4 Squad podcast. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Podcast, wherever you find podcasts. Type in Bro Force Squad as 3 separate words. We're also on Letterboxd, and you can follow us on Twitter at Bro4Squad, and everything we've ever posted in the history of time is on our website, bro4squad.com. Till next time, Nate and I have to go get some paintballs to shoot at each other.
Yeah, the practice darts, lawn darts, what do they call them?
I wonder what all the options were to fight each other. Like, is there like a Rochambeau? Is there like cornhole? Like, what else can they?
Yeah, some more non-violent things like some bocce ball or something.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Croquet.
Yeah.